Do you love the look of foil on your cards, but don't want to spend hundreds on fancy machines and hot foil dies? In this video, I'm going to show you a brand new product that adds the sparkle of foil without any heat or expensive machines, and each card has sewing highlights too. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Hashik, and this is the card I made in a class at Crop and Create delivered card making recently that started me on my sewing on cards addiction. I also learned about a brand new product from Deco foil called Adhesive Transfers. There are Gina Designs ones and Unity ones in a demo that same weekend, and I fell in love with both of them. So of course I went out and bought many of each. This high die was one that we got in our huge box of products for the classes that weekend. I had never sewn on cards, and I knew I didn't want a large die that would take hours and hours and hours to sew. But this one only takes a few minutes, and this is just one of the many cards that I made with this high. Now this Spellbinders die, which is called Stitched High, they told us would be available in May. But the other ones I'm going to show you are all available now. So again, this is a rainbow one that I did with different colors of floss and inking. I went on to make a whole bunch of cards with both sewing and the foil. This is what the Deco foil adhesive transfers look like. And so on this card, you can see this congrats. That's one from Unity. So Unity has a bunch of sentiments, a big word and then smaller words. And I'm going to show you how easy it is just to add the foil to do something like that on this card. And then these are the dies that I have so far. The stitched flower set. You get many different dies to make flowers. So you have the flowers and then the leaves. And then this is the high. And then this one here, this is the stitched medallion. And then this one is the diamond stitch. So I'm going to show you cards with all of those, this diamond stitch, medallion, and the flowers. So I made many cards, and at the end of the video I even have a few more. All of them have both stitching on them and the foil. So this one I started with some gold metallic thread that I had, but it wasn't as good as I wanted, and the threads were coming apart. So on Spellbinders they had a set of 4 of the Diamant DMC gold and bronze metallic threads, and so I got those and had much better success later on. And then I also got the needle that they recommend, which is the DMC number 22 tapestry needle. I had another needle, it worked okay, but these do work much better, and that's what's recommended to do these cards. So all the details on all these cards will be on my blog, and there'll be a link in the description box. This one I decided to use a debossing pinpoint background and rainbow colors in that tapestry die, and then I said hello friend with a Gina Designs adhesive transfer. So all of these again have foil on them and the sewing. This one was my favorite, and that's the one that I'm going to show you how to make. You can also take the negative of the foiled words, and that's what I did on this one, and added a couple beautiful flowers and some leaves and made a pretty happy birthday card. This one is the diamond, I forget the names, diamond stitched die. it's a single die, but you can choose to put on like 3 rows of them, as I did on that. And there's another happy from Unity, and then that's the negative of one of the other dies that I used. This is another favorite. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm just thrilled with how these are turning out. That pretty stitched border there on brass, and then the dragonfly and follow your dreams over a copper, I guess copper would be the word, background. I'm sorry, they're just gorgeous. I am in love with these, how these cards are turning out. I'm going to show you, using this one as a pattern, how to do the foiling and how to do the stitching. So we'll start with the foiling part of it. Very, very easy to do. So you choose the sentiment or the image that you want. Each of those packages have 2 full sheets, and I'm going to show you that you even can get second and third uses out of each one of them as well. So I have your day, may your day be filled with magic, and I have this beautiful hummingbird. Now on all the pieces on the back, there's an acetate piece that you take off, and then on the front there's another one. So as you're taking the acetate off the back, you don't want to touch, you want to try to avoid touching the area that is black, because that's where the adhesive is. So you're going to try real hard not to touch the black lines. And then you just stick it on the paper and just rub it down a little bit. And then I might have gone a little low with that. I might have to change my orientation here a little bit. But I really like that sentiment. It probably should have gone up a little bit, but at this point it's not going to move. So again, I'm going to take the back adhesive off. And maybe put it in it. Oops. Put it in an angle. Get it a little closer to that. Press it down a little bit. Now all you do to adhere these is use pressure of a die cutting machine. I have a little one, but this is too wide for that, so I am going to put it through my larger machine, but that's off camera. Now many of the videos that I watch suggest using 2 pieces of cardstock as a shim, and then we're simply going to put it through the vagabond. And then I have die cut some foil. I am using these Brutus Monroe Rain Glow, which I think might be my favorite of all time. I love all the rainbow ones, and this one has nice thin lines, so a lot of different colors show up. And then one of my other favorites are Gina K's Fancy Foils. This is the Radiant Red. So all of my favorites really have some additional sparkle in there. So the you know, I got these kind of close together, so I think I'm going to have to put it through twice, which is not a problem. So you're just going to lift up this part here, which is the adhesive on top. Just lift it up and remove it, trying not to touch anything. I am a little concerned. Again, these are a little too close. Oh, I hope. Okay, I'm touching that adhesive, trying to get this piece off. So we'll see. Okay, so then we're going to cover it up with a piece of foil and just press it down a little bit. And then once again we're going to use the die cut machine and a couple shims for pressure. Okay, and I touched it a little more than I normally do, but just look at that. Is that not just gorgeous with those rainbow colors and the shimmer of that foil? I just love that. Now, we can use this piece again, and I'm going to show you a card in the meantime that you can and how to do that. Alright, and we can also use this piece again. So you actually can get 3 uses out of each one, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now I am going to remove, there it is, this one here, and again it's just removing the acetate on the top. And pressing down some red foil, and this again has the sparkles, which is my favorite. They do have, of course, just plain red and other, but my favorite is to use the additional sparkles. And once again, I'm going to run it through my die cut machine just for the pressure. Okay, may your day be filled with magic. Isn't that pretty? I think that's just gorgeous. I love foiling looks. Now I did want to point out another way to add foiling to your cards without heat is the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo. And this does also work without heat, but it is a little bit of a messy gel. And you can use it with stencils, and then once it's dry, you have to wait for it to dry. It's not fast like I just showed you, but wait for it to dry. You can add foil without heat using this too. And I have some videos. At the end there will be a link to a whole group of videos that I've done with foil techniques. But that was really, really easy, and our beautiful foiled elements are on the card. So now I'm also going to show you my other most favorite recent technique that I've discovered, and that is sewing on cards. So I have this piece here. I am sewing the flower, and it depends on the size of the element, how you start on the back. Typically, you know, of course, with fabric or something, you would just tie a knot in the end, but you don't want to do that with this. On these smaller ones, a good way to start to get the thread to stick on the back is just to use a little bit of liquid glue. You also can, depending again on which one you're using, maybe tie a knot on some of the threads that you've already used. But on this smaller one, I found that if you just leave a little bit of thread and then take some liquid glue and then we're just going to glue that tail down with liquid glue. Now on one like this that I showed you, where you have a whole background here, you can just take regular tape. So start with the tail and then tape the tail down with just a piece of regular tape back there. And that's really the easiest way to do it on when you're using it on a whole card front. But when it's a smaller one like this flower, I have found that just using some liquid glue is the best way to hold that tail. These dies are very easy to use. It will not be easy for you to see it, but there are lines drawn. So all we need to do is go up through one hole and down another. And of course sometimes the thread gets caught. But it's that easy to do. So up through a hole and down through the opposite hole. Now I am using on these just variegated thread from DMC, and I got a whole package of that after we used the blue in class, and I was like, oh, that's very pretty. I have not done sewing in years. I used to do a lot of cross stitch, but that would literally take you hours and hours and hours, and there's just no way I'm going to do that. So once you get to the end of a petal, you don't want to just like, okay, I want to go over here, because that thread would show. But if you go through the center and just go underneath a previously stitched stitch. Okay, I'm getting caught here. Now that doesn't show what I just did, but I can now start here and go to a hole. If you've never done any sewing before, it's kind of important that you try to keep each stitch not too loose and not too tight. So you know, you just got to experiment a little bit. Too loose looks messy. Too tight would bend the paper. I'm using a very thick cardstock on this. I think it was 110 pounds. Of course, I watched Jennifer McGuire's videos because she's really an expert at this. She did often, she would glue two together. But I haven't found the need to do that with the 110 pound. These holes on the outside, you can choose to stitch those as well, and that would be like a back stitch. You would go from here to here and then here back to here. I've chosen not to do that. It just takes extra time, plus I really like the looks, and I'm going to show you, of using a piece of cardstock underneath there and just having some red show through those holes. So that's what I choose to do. So now we're on the last petal. I think I have enough thread. I hope I do. If not, of course, I have, oh, and I meant to mention that these are 6 strands on this floss, and I've divided it to use 2 at a time. On the metallic thread I showed you, there's no having to do that, and that metallic thread held together very well. There are individual strands, but you don't need to do any separating, nor do you need to double it up. So, getting a little tight here, but I think I can do it. Okay, now that's our last one. I'm just gonna put the needle through a couple of the stitches on the back just to secure it a little bit. If I had enough, I could tie a knot, but I don't, and that's okay. So I am going to secure these last threads here with some liquid glue. Let that set up a little bit. while I show you the other pieces. I have a leaf that I've done, oh, there's the front, in a variegated green. And all these dies are part of this set. And then there's a really pretty other leaf that doesn't have sewing on it or branch, and that one's perfect for adding a touch. I am going to put the sewn one on top of this, and then I have another one that's ready to go, and that's going to be offset for a little more of that beautiful dye. See a little piece there. I need to add a little more glue and get this all secured under here. Hold it down and get it set. Now this is going to be on top of here, and then you can see the red on the back of through those holes, and I'm just going to use a glue dot to do that, a zot. Press down, and you can see that pretty red through there. And then I'm going to use another glue dot, zot, and then this one I'm going to put on offsetting. So we have that pretty red with those dots, openings showing. And then, let's see, I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on. So there's an even red border on all sides. And then I have put some foam strips on the back to raise this up. So we want the words to show. I think that will fit under there nicely. With another zot. These can be cut down just a little bit, and sometimes I like to do that. And then I think this is going to go under. I think I'll add a little dot of glue here too. sew our stitched flower with our beautiful foiled hummingbird, and may your day be filled with magic, which has, if you move it, you can see the movement of that foil and the beautiful colors there. Our cards are done, and it was that easy to do. I had so much fun making these, and I did want to show you a few more. On this one here, I took the what we used to add the foil there. If you put that on a piece of toner sheet from Deco foil, so you just cut a piece that's the same size as this. You will need a laminator or a MINC to do this, but if you put it on there and run it through again and then cut it out, this is the image that you get. So I got another beautiful rainbow hummingbird by doing that. And then I just took this piece, which is a pretty black acetate hummingbird, and I flipped it, and I cut that one out too, and I put it on this floating easel card. So this acetate piece, I also foiled the hello from Unity right onto the acetate. Now I have not found another technique for adding foil to acetate that is so easy to do, and it looks like it's floating right on that acetate, doesn't it? I just think that I love the floating easel look anyway, but I always had trouble adding a sentiment, because if you put a die cut on there, well, it's kind of floating, but it's kind of not. This looks like it is just right in that acetate. And then I added 2 more stitched flowers, so you can get 3 uses out of one of these pieces, depending on how dark the lines are. Some of them were very fine, and they didn't really show up that well, but this hummingbird did, plus I cut it out. So I was really happy with how that turned out. And here's just a few more cards I made. This one again was with the rainbow foil, and then I used blue, yellow, and red floss to make that card. This one shows how you can use both the medallion and the flower dies together. So I just cut the medallion out and left that as a background to the flower and raised up those petals, and then I added another foiled happy birthday. Isn't that one cool? And here's another one where I combined it. This is the medallion again, and I did it with the silver stitching, and congrats on your happy day was foiled on there, and then I added a little floral tiny flower inside piece there. So all of these cards made me very, very happy, and I had so much fun making them with Deco foils, adhesive transfers, and Spellbinders sewing dies, and I can't wait to share the joy by mailing these out to special people. I hope the cards have encouraged you to try something new and spread some joy too. Watch the next video for some more awesome foil techniques, and have a creative, joyful week.